One of the largest growing counties in Texas will now send bodies in need of an autopsy more than 2 hours away to Fort Bend County as a long-term solution to a backlog and lack of its own medical examiner's office. This week on Inside the Investigation, we dive back into our Hanging on Backbone Creek investigation and speak with Williamson County reporter Kevin Bosker, who discusses the antiquated system for investigating deaths in Texas that's left the county with a costly problem. Hello and welcome to another edition of Inside the Investigation. I'm KXAN Director of Investigations and Innovation, Josh Hinkle, joined by my reporting colleague, Kevin Bosker. Welcome.
I appreciate you having me on.
So today we're going to be talking about something our team has been looking into for the last couple of years when it comes to medical examiners and which counties have it. It stems from our Hanging on Backbone Creek investigation out of Marble Falls, but you're going to be talking to us today about Williamson County, which isn't too far. That's one of your coverage areas. Yeah. So when we started looking at this a couple of years ago, we found that only 14 counties out of Texas's 254 counties had medical examiners at that point. Now, it's really population-based. There is a threshold in law that says when a county hits 1.5 million people, they have to have a medical examiner office established. Some counties have gone and been proactive and made that decision to establish one ahead of time, which is kind of what Williamson County's been exploring. It's not quite there. It's kind of hovering around a million, a little bit below that, but there are still about 14 counties in the state that do have medical examiners offices. Now, the criticism for the other system, for all those other counties, is that they are having death investigations that are conducted by justices of the peace, JPs. Those are your courtroom officials who handle a lot of other issues, including apparently death investigations. And so they're going out to a scene when there's an unattended death and determining if they can rule on it there or if the body needs to be sent somewhere for an autopsy. Sometimes that's a private medical examiner, sometimes that's another county. And so what we're going to be talking today is what's happening in Williamson County specifically, because it's one of the fastest growing in Texas and in the nation. So you cover Williamson County, as I mentioned. It is a county where the population continues to grow. Explain the system that is being used in Williamson County to investigate, and how's that been working out lately?
Well, as you mentioned, like a good amount of counties in Texas rely on this justice of the peace system. So that is what Williamson County is currently doing at the moment. And as you touched on, these are local judges that handle minor court cases. Think about your traffic tickets, evictions, and all sorts. So they have the responsibility to determine the cause and manner of death. So as you mentioned earlier, as they make that initial determination, and if an autopsy is needed, they'll instruct that that body to be sent to somewhere else that can actually make that determination and whatnot. Speaking a little bit on the growth of Williamson County, it's one of the fastest growing counties in Texas. Right now, it's like averaging to about 750,000 people, and that population is only, as I've covered it like extensively over the past couple of months, it's only set to grow and continue to grow. By 2050, it's expected to double in population. So with that explosive growth, and already with how big the county is right now, there is a backlog in cases for understanding the cause of death for certain bodies and all that. So it's been a system that many people have said that it's not necessarily keeping up towards the growth that Williamson County has been experiencing in recent years and will continue to experience as the future moves on.
So I know that they are being proactive. They've talked about establishing a medical examiner office there eventually. They've even purchased a site that could eventually become that. In the meantime, they have death investigators to help the justices of the peace. Yeah. And they also have just recently voted on something to help with that backlog. What is that?
Yeah, so Williamson County, they're expanding where they're sending bodies for autopsy. So Fort Bend, they worked out an agreement with that county. So when it comes to needing to send a body somewhere, they have this deal where they'll send it to Fort Bend. Under the deal, some specifics, the county pays about $2,600 per autopsy and $850 for an external exam. So essentially, it's another option for the county to send bodies, because right now, as I mentioned earlier, there is a backlog. They need more options for them to be able to handle these situations. So just another option for them.
My question is, why Fort Bend County? That's kind of far away. It's in the Houston area, when Travis County, right across the county border, has its own medical examiner office that they could partner with.
Speaking with the county, they kind of mentioned the agreement. It's a little cheaper from from what I gathered. But it's also just like there's already a lot happening, like in Travis County as well. That's what currently at the moment in time being, before this agreement even went through, like they were sending some bodies to Travis County, they were sending some bodies to Dallas and some other places that have the authorization to do so. It just isn't enough, and this is just another avenue for them to be able to help out that backlog issue.
So I know that our colleague Arzo Dost has been speaking with these JPs in Williamson County for a couple of years now. You've also spoken with them. How do they feel about this move?
It's something they're like, this is necessary. It's something that we need to do, but it's because it's kind of like the only option kind of in the time being, aside from getting an ME's office, right? I spoke with one of the JPs, KT Musselman. He was like, this is kind of, in Commissioner's Court, he was like, this is kind of plan E in a sense. We're like, I mean, it's something we need, but like we really should be focusing on eventually getting a medical examiner's office. I mean, like they're happy with the progress that this is gonna help out with that backlog, right? But it's a matter of looking down towards the future, establishing that ME's office and how they go about the general consensus of kind of gaining that solution.
Because they've got all these other things like these court cases I mentioned, and that's a big workload for them as well. Yeah. Getting a medical examiner office could be the ultimate solution that many of them have talked about would help this situation. We talked about them already purchasing property for that. What's the timeline for that potentially happening?
You know, there's not necessarily a clear timeline. That building you're talking about was purchased in October 2024. So it's still lots of conversations revolving around that. I spoke with County Judge Stephen Snell, Williamson County Judge Stephen Snell, and he emphasized like we've wanted it for quite some time. It's just that the sheer cost of doing so is astronomical. And when I asked what's realistically possible, he had responded and said that like what's realistically possible is what the court would budget for. So it's not something that they're not, of course, I mean, they've bought the building. It's not something that it's out of the question. It seems like it's something that's going to happen in the future. The question is when. Now, I also spoke with the person he is running for in the November election, Heather Jeffs, for the Williamson County judge. She had emphasized that, like, I mean, in a county like Williamson County, with the amount of growth it's been experiencing and the amount of people, the amount of backlog cases that are being experienced, she's like, this is a priority, and if she were to be elected, it would be one of her first priorities, and she would make sure it's on the budget for the upcoming year.
All right, and we know that the state legislature is also exploring options. Last legislative session, out of our investigation, there was a bill that was filed that would have opened up the potential for regional medical examiner offices. So counties that are neighboring could partner on it. There's one actually in the Dallas area right now, so this could potentially open that up for more. And that is another thing that could come back up this legislative session. In the interim, the Texas House has been charged to kind of study the need for more medical examiners in Texas. And really it's a profession, forensic pathologist, that there's not a lot of throughout the entire United States. I think when we started doing this investigation, we learned that there's only about between 700 and 800 forensic pathologists that are certified throughout the entire country. So it might also mean more people have to go to school for this profession, more training, that kind of thing. But it's really important also because this isn't just about government and law enforcement officials. Yes, it will help with their backlog and their caseloads and everything, but when it comes down to it, it's about families who are waiting for answers to learn how their loved ones died. Sometimes there might be a crime involved also, so this is speeding up the wheels of justice.
And making sure the people who are educated to make those decisions are providing those results to the families as well, right?
Exactly. Kevin, thanks a lot.
Appreciate it, thank you.
You can watch all new episodes of Inside the Investigation on the KXAN Plus app every Friday starting at 1 p.m. Just search for KXAN on your preferred streaming devices such as Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. You can also listen to KXAN's investigative podcast where we feature audio versions of our weekly Inside the Investigation episodes. You can find new episodes every Saturday morning wherever you get podcasts. Search for KXAN Investigates.